Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are all having a great day out there. It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. The sunshine is out, and it is just overall a wonderful day. Temperatures running in the 70s across the state as well, and the humidity is gone. We have not seen, really, the last couple weeks, we have not seen any dry air in place across the state. We've actually seen the most humid stretch of weather up through the first 13 days of September that Maine has ever seen in recorded history dating back to 1948. Some pretty wild stuff, but the humidity is gone. It's a beautiful afternoon, as you guys probably all know. Hopefully you've been able to get out there and enjoy just a little bit. And let's get a look outside at Pemaquid Point right now. Look at that. Beautiful skies, lots of sunshine, a few high wispy clouds. We are looking at a nice afternoon, a nice evening as well. And tomorrow overall is going to stay dry, but the clouds, of course, from Lee will start to move in. Satellite and radar is dry right now. No issues whatsoever this evening. If you have plans to step outside, if you have plans to go out for dinner tonight and maybe sit out on the patio, we are looking good for tonight. We are going to see low humidity and the sunshine as well. And of course, now the sun is setting before 7 o'clock, which I'm sure most people aren't a big fan of. But here is Hurricane Lee. We are looking at a lot of clouds and rain over towards areas just off to the west of Bermuda right now. And the reason why you don't see any rain over this is because simply the radar doesn't go out that far. But I can promise you there is a lot of rain with this storm right now. And it is still a hurricane, so it has all of its tropical characteristics at the moment. But that is going to change. And there is one key component that is really starting to, going to start weakening this storm as we head over the next couple hours. I'm going to get into that in about 1 minute, so hold on tight. Temperatures right now running in the 70s across the state, 78 degrees in Lewiston, 74 Freiburg, 73 over towards Portland at 75 in Sanford. You get the idea. Mid-70s, sun is out, and low humidity. It is just a beautiful afternoon. Dew points running in the 50s to lower 60s. Down towards the coast, we are a little bit more humid than we are inland. You can see a dew point temperature of 66 in Rockland. It's 63 over towards Bar Harbor, 63 in Portland as well. But most areas right now running in the 50s. So the humidity is really just going away across the state. I'm going to get to some of the comments as well, and let's get a look at the planner for this evening. Partly cloudy skies, really not much to talk about. Temperatures drop from the 70s into the 60s, eventually into the 50s, and then tomorrow we are going to see increasing clouds as we head through the day. All right, let's get into Lee. I know that's why you guys are all here. Category 1 hurricane right now. We have sustained winds and wind gusts, I should say, of upwards of 115 miles per hour, but the sustained winds are still at about 85 miles per hour off towards the west-southwest of Bermuda right now. And we are going to see this storm, as it heads north, start to weaken just a little bit. And there is a new track with this storm, and you can see that the latest track with this storm is actually good for us, because at one point it was looking like this storm could come up and do something like this. Well, now you can see it's off towards a little bit further off towards the east, and that is good news if you want less rain. That is good news if you want less wind, and that is just good news all around, as we are going to see more of an easterly track. You can see as it will likely push up towards Nova Scotia, maybe through the Bay of Fundy as we head through the day on Saturday. We are going to see this storm move through. So Saturday is the day that we are going to see lots of clouds. We're going to see some rain, not a lot in our area. Again, I'll be talking about that in more detail in a second, but we are going to see quite a bit of rain as we head off towards the eastern part of the state. If you're in down east, if you're in Eastport, if you're in Bar Harbor, we are going to see quite a bit of rain. But here in the Portland area, southern Maine, we're not going to see much. Our biggest threats is the wind as well as the waves. We're going to see very, very big waves. If you're headed to the ocean, I would recommend just please stay out of the water. That is the biggest thing. Now, there is a very, very, very important factor in this. And, a hurricane loves tropical environments. It likes very humid conditions. It likes very warm conditions, and it likes, tropical environments. That's why you typically get hurricanes that form well down to our south and, over very warm, humid climates, over the ocean as well. And as they move north, typically it moves into a drier, cooler air mass. However, this cold front that you see on this screen right here, this was earlier this morning passing through the state. This cold front is going to play a very important role. And what it is it's drying out the air. As I was just mentioning in earlier, is we have very dry air mass in place across the state compared to what we have seen recently. This cold front is going to help to weaken this storm. As this cold front passes through, it's going to move into an area that is very dry and in a very area that is much cooler compared to what it has been for the last week or two. And that is going to impact the strength of this storm. So this storm, as it moves in, right now it's a category 1 over towards Bermuda, but as it moves in, it is going to lose its tropical characteristics. And what I mean by that is as it moves in, it is going to still become a very strong storm. It's going to stay pretty strong. However, it's not going to be a tropical storm and it's not going to be a hurricane. It is going to take on characteristics that are more resembled to, say, a powerful nor'easter. And where we get these storms off the East Coast, and they move in the middle of January, bring us snow and wind. However, this isn't, of course, going to be snow and wind. It's going to be rain and wind. And so we are still going to see quite a few impacts with this storm, but it's not going to be a tropical storm or a hurricane as it moves in. And it will be a little bit too far off to our east, at least in southern Maine, to really see the major impacts. So we have some good news with this storm. Don't lose your guard from this storm. We are still going to see some strong winds, but this dry air mass is going to impact this storm. I mean, if it moves into an area that it's just not favorable for these types of environments in terms of what a tropical storm or a hurricane likes, it is going to weaken. And that's the good news to the forecast because, hey, if we had dew points in the 70s over the next couple days, I could see this storm moving in as a tropical storm or hurricane, but because it is not that way, I do think this will continue to weaken. And you can see as it moves in, not only is it going to bring quite a bit of rain down towards eastern Maine, if you're in southern Maine, if you're in Portland, if you are in York, if you're in Augusta, if you're in Freiburg, especially as you head up towards the Rangeley area, there's going to be a lot of dry air in place. And look at the rain. It just has a hard time. And I'm going to have a zoomed in view of the rain in about 30 seconds. But I just want to show you the idea that this dry air that you see up to our north and west, this dry air mass is going to impact this storm quite a bit. It's going to cut off some of the rainfall on the northern and western side of this storm. And it is going to really not allow this rain to really move off towards the west, as this dry air is just going to kind of eat away at those raindrops. And then eventually it moves on out of here. So here's a closer look to home. And you can see we're looking at a lot of clouds for tomorrow. But if you're in areas down east, if you are from really Rockland up through the Bangor area and all of this area, maybe you have friends, maybe you have family over there if you aren't there, but we're going to see quite a bit of rain still. We're also going to see some strong winds, especially in these areas. I think these are the highest impacted areas where I have circled right now as we head through the day on Saturday. And you can just see, look at all this heavy rain. And I do anticipate that there will be heavy rain bands. Now, do I say at 7:30 a.m. it's moving through the Rockland and off to the west of Bangor? I'm not going to say that, but I do think there will be bands of rain that kind of pivot through the state as we head through the day on Saturday. But notice it has a tough time making its way to southern and western Maine. If you are in Portland, if you're in Portsmouth, I could see a situation where we see maybe a half an inch of rain. We get 3 times that in a summer thunderstorm sometimes. We're not looking at a lot of rain with this storm if you are in western Maine. That is a very important thing because, yes, a lot of people associate 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain with a hurricane. If you're in western Maine, if you are in southern Maine, we're too far away from the center. The latest track takes this off to the east a little bit more, and we're just going to be too far away from the center, along with the dry air mass in place, to see a lot of rain with this storm. And, you think also we just had Idalia move into the Florida, Gulf Coast area. Thing is they have a very humid environment. They're looking at dew points in the 70s. We are looking at dew points in the 40s and 50s for the day on Saturday. So that's a big difference compared to what you see down towards areas over towards the Gulf Coast. Into Florida, they have just very, very, very humid air masses, and that's what tropical storms like. We're not going to have that as we head into the day on Saturday. If that cold front didn't pass through, then maybe we would, and we'd be talking a totally different story. But areas off towards western Maine, areas off towards southern Maine, expect some rain, but do not expect 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. But if you are in areas down east, if you are in even the mid coast from Rockland up through Bangor, yeah, you're going to see a good amount of rain. You're going to see probably a couple inches of rain. And that's just simply because you're just so close to the center of the storm. So we can even talk about how much rain we're looking at. And look at this, a couple tenths of an inch of rain expected in all these areas over towards western Maine, Portland, Portsmouth. And don't, of course, look at these numbers verbatim and say that Portsmouth is only going to see 8/100ths of an inch of rain. Of course not. But the idea is for about a half an inch or less of rainfall for most areas in southern and western Maine. So that's really not too big of a deal, but we are going to see more in the way of rain as we head into the areas down east. You can see some of those red areas over here. That's where we could be looking at a couple inches of rain. So that is something to keep an eye on. And then the waves, yes, the waves, they are going to be very strong. Let me actually back that up. We are looking at waves that could be upwards of 10 to 20 feet. So that, yes, is going to cause impacts down towards the ocean as we head through the day on Saturday. So just keep that in mind. We will see some very strong gusts. The winds will be out there as well. And you can see for the day on Saturday, we're looking at wind gusts that could be as high as, 30 to 50 miles per hour for the day on on Saturday. So that is also something that could cause some power outages. It could also cause trees to fall, maybe fall on power lines as well. So I think this is the biggest threat, is probably the wind, and that can move even down towards the southern part of the state. So that's why I say don't completely take your guard off. Most of this storm is not going to be too big of a deal, but it is going to cause some impacts in terms of how big the waves are, rip currents, maybe some beach erosion, splash over, very, very, very minor storm surge, and then just some strong gusty winds throughout the day on Saturday. And then that moves on out of here. Once it moves out, as we head into the day on Sunday, we're pretty much going to be out of this whole storm. So the weather warning should actually be for the day on Saturday. We're looking at rain and wind for the day on Saturday. But then again, most of the next several days, we are just looking at just sunshine, low humidity, clouds increase for the day tomorrow. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even into the day on Thursday, we are going to dry out. We are going to see some nice weather. So that is some good news. And for anybody looking at the track that might have just tuned in, here it is right now over towards Bermuda. I want to go through some comments. I'm going to first start with this one, TJ Nason. No, we're not hyping this up. I would like to think that I'm doing the exact opposite right now and saying that western and southern Maine, not going to see much rain. Wind gust upwards of 40. Yeah, we're going to see possibly some power outages. But no, I have to, politely disagree with you. I think I'm doing the exact opposite in terms of hype, because I'm not talking about a lot of rain. I'm not talking about crazy winds. And no, I think I would like to think I'm doing the exact opposite there. Tatiana, hello to you. I hope you are great. Mary as well. Good evening. Good afternoon to you. How much rain and wind, or how much wind, will Kittery get? Kittery, I would say you're probably 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. You're just really, really far away from the center down towards Kittery. So yeah, I don't really think you're going to be too bad. Very little in the way of rain. You will get probably some pivoting showers that move through. But overall, I do not think Kittery is going to be highly impacted with this. Just some showers, a couple downpours, and some gusty winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour. Who else do we have? Again, I hate to say pop these up. I thought I was doing the exact opposite, saying how we're going to see wind gusts 30 to 40, 45. No, that is not tropical storm force. That is not hurricane force. And we're not going to see that much rain if you're in southern and western Maine. I don't think we're going to be looking at a huge deal with this. I do think there is the threat for power outages. I do think there is the threat for some downed trees because, yes, we have very saturated grounds, but also we are looking at just it's been such a wet summer. So that could impact some trees. We could be looking at, a couple power out. We will likely be looking at power outages for the day tomorrow, but I don't think this is a massive widespread power outage issue as we head into the day tomorrow. What else do we have on here? We are supposed to have soccer in Bangor on Saturday. You guys are going to be looking at a steadier, probably heavier rain in the Bangor area as you're closer to the storm as compared to areas like Portland. Bangor, you expect probably a couple inches of rain. Wind gusts could be as high as 40 to 50, 55 miles per hour as you head off towards the eastern part of the state. Paula, thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in. What else do we have? What category is this storm going to be? It's not going to be a category. This will not be a hurricane. It is a hurricane right now, but it is going to weaken. We're looking at technically what's called a post-tropical cyclone, and that is essentially a storm that loses its tropical characteristics. So it's not a tropical storm and it's not a hurricane, but it is still a pretty strong storm that is going to move through. Wind directions, Kathy, we're looking at probably, I would say, a northeasterly wind as we head through the day on Saturday, which I would say is a good thing because we're not looking at the wind off the ocean. So that's some good news. So there's going to be frictional forces. There are going to be trees in the way. There's going to be buildings in the way. And I would say that wind direction is going to be helpful this time as we are going to see some trees and, of course, buildings slow down the wind near the surface. All right. What else do we have? Gorham, you're looking at probably a half an inch of rain. And Gorham, probably wind gusts, I think, maxing out around 45, but probably closer to about 30 to 40 most of the day. We could see some gusts upwards of 40, 45 at the most as we head through on Saturday. Rockland off towards the east. I think that's where you'll see steadier rain. Rockland, I could see a situation where you could see an inch, maybe 2 inches of rain, and wind gusts in Rockland could be as high as maybe 45 to 50. That's what I would go for the Rockland area. And then Waterville, I would say Waterville, you are looking at, if I had to put a number on it, probably 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts and a half an inch of rain, maybe 3/4 in spots. But I don't think Waterville is going to be too bad. And much of the same for Casco as well. Wells, you're just too far away. I think Wells, you're probably looking at 30, 35 mile per hour gusts, maybe some showers, a downpour possible, but Wells, you're just too far away. What else we got? How does it look for Friday? How does Friday look in Augusta? Friday's fine. We're going to stay dry for the day on Friday. So no problems on Friday. That's some good news. Searsport, that's over towards eastern, I'm pretty sure. Maine, you're probably looking at some steadier rain, some stronger wind gusts in the Searsport area for the day tomorrow. Timothy, where? I just saw your comment. Oh, Gardner. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that one. Gardner, I'm still learning where some of these towns are. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been here for about 7 months, and there's a lot of towns to look up. I just want to get the exact location. Gardner, Maine. Where are we? All right, so Gardner, you are going to see some steadier rain, but not that much. I would say 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain. Not much in the way of rain for Gardner, but also the winds, they are going to gust probably 35 to 45 in the Gardner area. It's really just as you head off towards the east. Once you get over towards areas like Bangor and Bar Harbor and areas like Eastport especially, that's where the heavier rain, that's where the stronger wind gusts will be. All right, I have a lot of comments coming in. Lewiston, Lisbon area. Nicole, you guys aren't going to see all that much. We're probably talking, I would say, a half an inch of rain, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. And then wind gust 35 to 45. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of comments here. So why don't I just go back to this? And so if I'm looking at this and we're taking a look at the rainfall with this storm, I would say, hold on, this area. So circled here, you're probably looking at 1/4 of an inch of rain to a half an inch of rain. At that, I mean, probably at worst in this area. In this area, we'll call this zone 2. Here, you're probably looking at a half an inch to maybe an inch, inch and a half. And then once you head over towards the Rockland, Bangor area and down east, now you're talking upwards of, say, 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inches of rain in that part of the state. Wind gusts, we'll go to the winds again. And you can see this is Friday morning. I think that Rockland number is a little overdone. I think areas over towards up here, you're probably talking wind gusts between 30 to 40 miles per hour along the coastline up through the mid coast. In this area, you're probably looking at wind gusts, I would say 40 to 45. And then once you're down over in this area, you could see wind gusts upwards of 50, 55 miles per hour in this specific area. So again, try to use this. If I don't get to your comments, this zone over here, you're talking, 30 to 40. Here, I'll go again. This is probably 40, 45. And then here you're talking gusts upwards of 50 to 55 miles per hour. I would love to get to everybody's comments, but I do have things to do. I have to be in the 5 o'clock show tonight. So I hope I got to everybody's answers. I tried to get to some of the comments. There's just a lot of comments coming in, I will say. I hope you guys all have a good one. I'm sure Charlie will be on tonight. You can talk to him and tune in tonight. I'll have some of the latest, and Charlie, of course, will be in for the latest forecast. I hope you guys all have a good one and enjoy your day.